What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel a combos and test hands video for my ABC XYZ Union deck for the post-April 2025 ban list. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh! Content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! That you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to smash that subscribe button. We are currently working our way to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So the update to ABC, obviously post Maze of the Master and post ban list, I dropped on my channel last week at time of recording, and since then I've actually had a little more time to spend with the deck, kind of optimizing. I've been working with some other members in my Discord, which a link for the Discord will be in the description of the video. Highly suggest that you join. It's absolutely free, and we're just building a bit of a community down there in the Discord and going over different builds and options that we can play with the decks that are featured here on the channel. So it's a really cool. If you guys want to join, like I said, it's absolutely free. That'll be linked in the description below, as well as a link in the description below for the ABC profile that I posted last week. Now, like I mentioned, that profile has since been changed, only slightly. I've made a couple of tweaks to that deck list. Mainly was that I wanted to drop the deck count because it was at 50 cards, and I felt that at 50, the deck was still too bloated for my liking. So I had to get to work on trying to downsize the list, and with working with some of my members in the Discord, we came to this conclusion. So what I did was I cut B-Buster Drake down from 3 to 2. I cut Fiendsmith Engraver down from 3 to 2, and I cut Fiendsmith Tract from 2 to 1 copy, respectively, bringing the deck down to 47 cards. Now, the reasoning behind this is quite simple. Like B-Buster, or any of the letters for that matter, none of them are starters in their own right. And you don't want to run the risk of bricking by drawing too many of the letters, right? Because none of the letters are extenders either. They're, like, if you draw too many of them, your hand is effectively pretty terrible, all things considered. So I felt like, you know, just cutting down on the B-Buster, like reducing the amount of letters you play, actually benefits the deck overall. So we just play 2B, 2A, 2C, and I think that's an appropriate ratio for the time being. And with the Fiendsmith package, the logic behind this is also quite simple, although a lot of people were probably scratching their head as to like why I'm cutting down on this. And the fact of the matter is that, unlike the Fiendsmith engine played in other decks like Snake Eye or Yubel, well, I guess Snake Eye only when Beatrice was still legal, but unlike those decks where you could like start with the Fiendsmith engine and then use Fiendsmith as a bridge into your deck's game plan, like for Yubel, or like I said, for Snake Eye back when Beatrice was legal, ABC does not have that luxury. There's not any combos that Fiendsmith by itself can do that bridge you into your ABC package, which means that the Fiendsmith stuff isn't really cards that you want to start with necessarily, because they don't get you to your deck's main game plan. All they're going to do is get you into Fiendsmith combo, which is fine, but again, because of the light locks, the light extra deck restriction that the new support puts us under, our extra deck isn't able to play a lot of the other Fiendsmith toolbox options like, you know, DDD Wave King Caesar or Necroquip Princess. Necroquip Princess, excuse me, say that fast 3 times. And as a result of that, you know, we don't get a lot of the other advantages that the Fiendsmith engine can provide, right? Like, the only sole purpose of Fiendsmith in this deck is so we can make Desiree, who happens to be a really powerful light extra deck monster that we can end on as a disrupt. But even if we go for Desiree first, like, that doesn't help us play through hand traps, right? Like, it doesn't stop Nib, it doesn't stop Droll, doesn't stop any of that, because Desiree only stops things that are on field. So it's not like us opening Engraver, doing Fiendsmith combo first, necessarily insulates us in any meaningful way, right? Like, if, you know, if they have Bestials, if they have Droll, if they have Nib, those cards are still going to hit us. So why are we expending the resources and opening the package, when in reality the package isn't really helping us push through anything other than establishing just a neat end board disrupt? So, because we can access the Fiendsmith cards through Moon of the Closed Heaven, right? Which the ABC package is very good at putting out bodies that can get us to a Link 2. So, when you think about it from that aspect, it makes sense as to why you would play less of these, which I know a lot of you are probably cheering, because now that means that you don't have to spend as much money, right, buying the package if you don't want to. Like I said, we're only on 1 Tract currently and 2 Engraver in the main. We still play the Lacrima and the Lariat 1, but we just downsized on the package, and the whole goal of that was to bring the deck count down from 50 to 47. But I would have been fine with that. However, after doing more tinkering with the list and talking to other people in the Discord, we came also to the conclusion that in my extra deck, we needed to cut the Hippo Shinnigan in favor of a Silo Hat Rabbit, because Rabbit is actually just a much better card overall as a generic Link 2. So because we play Rabbit, that means we had to make a slot in the main deck for a copy of Azaroon, which we are playing. So the deck ended up jumping back up to 48 cards, but we're still below what we initially started with, which was 50. So I'm actually quite happy with the change. Adding the Silo Hat Rabbit to the extra deck has obviously been very powerful. Yes, the Azaroon technically is just another suboptimal draw in a deck that has quite a few, but I think because the deck list is now sitting at a nice 48 cards, you're not as likely to draw the cards you're not trying to see. But also, the deck count is not so ridiculously large that you're never seeing your starters or access to your engine. So I think 48's been a nice middle ground in testing, and it's been working out great for me. So I just want to preface that before we start the combos, because if any of this stuff comes up in the combo, some of you might be wondering, like, oh, well, where did the Silo Hat come from? It wasn't featured in the profile. I just wanted to, give a little bit of explanation as to like the changes I made. So the deck list is currently sitting at 48 cards in the main, and we added the addition of Silo Hat in the extra. And then the side deck did get a brief update. All we did there was I cut the Dark Ruler No Mores in favor of a playset of Forbidden Droplet for the side. So now that we got that out of the way, we are going to start off with, there's two individual one-card combos this deck can produce. Hangar and X-Cross both represent insanely powerful one-card lines. However, because Union Hangar is a field spell, that means if we have Terraforming technically is also a one-card line. And then because X-Cross Cannon can be searched through the new spell, Union Activation is also technically a one-card setup as well, just with a bit more steps. So we have, if you factor in like the ratios we're running of each card, we have about 10 or 11 ways to access our one-card combo, which I think is pretty high odds. So we're going to start off with the Union Hangar combo first, which I personally feel like Union Hangar still gives you the slightly better ceiling. Not that to say that X-Cross is bad, it's just that I think Hangar does a little bit more. I mean, they're both insanely powerful, right? So we're going to start off with the Hangar combo first. So the first thing here is we're going to activate Hangar, use the effect to search for a letter, which is almost always going to be B, unless you've already opened B. So add that to your hand. Now here's the cool thing, again, circling back briefly to the Silo Hat Rabbit. If we end up getting hit by Droll and Lockbird, which, now that Shifter's gone and like Dweller's gone, like there's not really many things that stop this deck in its tracks outside of Droll. Droll is obviously really annoying because this deck does happen to search quite a bit. If we do get Drolled, with the addition of Rabbit, actually makes the Droll not as great for the opponent, because we finally have something that we can make under Droll that still represents a disruption, right? Like, because obviously we can normal summon the B, assuming they Droll us at resolution of Hangar. We'll go Hangar effect to equip the driver. Then we can go driver effect to equip A Assault Core. Then go A to unequip the special. And then here at this juncture, we can link the B and the A to make Rabbit. Rabbit will set the Angel Statue Azaroon, and then we can actually go A Assault Core here to target the B engrave and add the B back to our hand, which gives us follow-up as well. And this is something that we can now do under Droll, which in theory, before we played Rabbit, like in the previous version of the deck, if we got Drolled, we weren't able to do that. So Droll definitely hit much harder in the previous version. I think now playing Rabbit, we actually have I wouldn't say a great line, but a decent line under Droll. But obviously, we're not here to dive into what hand traps we can and can't play through. This is just simply here to show you what the combo looks like. So, rewinding things a bit, you're going to go Hangar, grab B, normal B, Hangar, equip the driver, banish the driver, equip the A, special the A. And now, assuming they didn't Droll us, we are going to continue on with the combo. And we are going to make the link to Platinum Gadget. That will trigger the B engrave to add ourselves a copy of Y Yearhead. Now, what's cool about this is if we're worried about Ash Blossom, we can actually chain block the B Buster Drake search by going B as Chainlink 1 and A Assault Core as Chainlink 2 to add the B to our hand, which makes it so that the opponent can't Ash the B in our graveyard, and it guarantees us that we'll be able to successfully search the Yearhead, which I think is cool. Just an option if you want to do that. I'm not saying you have to. Anyway, continuing on, we'll go Platinum Gadget effect to special the Yearhead, And then Yearhead effect will proc, since it was special summoned, it'll equip a level 4 light machine from the hand or graveyard to him as an equip spell. And this is why I was saying you can go A Assault Core to Chain Block, because even if you add the Bee Buster back to the hand, the Yearhead can still equip it from hand or grave. Which I like the flexibility in that. So obviously we're going to use Yearhead's effect equipping B from wherever it wound up, whether it's still in grave or in your hand. And at this point here, we're going to keep the Bee Buster equipped to the Y. I mean, you could unequip in special, but we don't want to do that because we want to contact fuse using the Platinum Gadget on board. Because again, Platinum Gadget cannot be used as link material the turn it's link summoned. So we're going to banish the Platinum Gadget and the Yearhead. The Bee Buster Drake will fall off and go to the graveyard because the monster was equipped to left the field. And we're going to use that to contact fuse in a Union controller. Now, why we do it this way instead of just going B to unequip and special is because we want the B to trigger here in the graveyard a second time, allowing us to search for Z Zillion Tank. Because if we go B to unequip and special, when we make the Union controller, B is just here on the board and we don't have the ability to search for a Union. And like that means we would have to almost like link off the controller and the Buster for something, then search Z-Zillion, but then at that point we no longer have controller on board to use the effect of special the Z-Zillion from hand. So you want to make sure that you keep the B equipped to the Yearhead. That way B can go to grave when you make controller, and B lets you search Z-Zillion. That way you can special it using controller's secondary effect. So you go B for Zillion, and then Union controller will add any spell trap that mentions a Union. Now, since we started off with Hangar, generally what I'll be searching for is activation, Union activation, because we want to get access to the X cross cannon. So what we'll do here is we'll go activation, pitching the vanilla X head cannon. And again, the reason why we play the vanilla X head is because that allows us to search the brand new X cross cannon, which, it's because it has 1800 attack, none of the other Union monsters share a stat line with X cross, except for the original OG vanilla X head, which is, again, unfortunate. Konami and their silly card design sometimes, but, it's just a brick requirement that we have to play in order to make X cross searchable. So now what we'll do here is we can go Union controller secondary effect to special a Union from our hand. So we'll special the Z-Zillion tank, triggering the Z-Zillion effect when special summoned to equip a banished level 4 light machine to itself. So we'll equip the banished Y Yearhead. Then we'll go Y Yearhead effect to unequip and special, triggering Yearhead's effect again. And that's what's crazy about all of these letters is that they're all soft once per turns. So we'll go Yearhead, re-equipping the Bee Buster from grave. And if we wanted to, we could unequip B and special. Like, this deck just produces so many bodies. Like, once it gets the ball rolling, it's very hard to stop. Which is obviously cool. So we'll go Yearhead, equip the B. I think at this juncture here, we can commit the X Cross Cannon using its effect to special itself, since we control both a Union and a Light Machine Fusion. We can go X Cross effect, and this is basically just going to secure us the third and final letter we're missing, which at the moment is Sea Crush Wyvern. So we'll go X Cross to equip Sea Crush from the deck. And now at this point, we can do a couple of things. We can go, for example, like Union Controller and Yearhead. We can link those off. Obviously, the Bee Buster will fall off. And we can link off into Moon of the Closed Heaven, which does allow us access into our Fiendsmith line, obviously. Trigger the Bee Buster in the graveyard to search a piece. Really doesn't matter what you grab here. There's quite a few things you can go into. Like, if you wanted to, you could grab Torque Tune gear off the Buster Drake, and assuming you still had Union Controller on the board, when you link off the X Cross, the Sea Crush will fall off, and then Sea Crush will let you special Torque Tune gear, and Torque Tune plus Union Controller does make Ancient Fairy Dragon, which gets you into your Therion package, which in turn gets you to Regulus, and it just gets you like more advantage. But since we didn't sequence it like that, the card we add here is pretty much just discard fodder for either ABC Dragon Buster or the XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon. So, it's just a free search. You could grab either Torque Tune or really whatever you want. Any Union that B can search is fair game. So it's just a matter of preference at that point. But obviously here we'll go link off the Moon for the Requiem. In this, obviously, you guys should know how the Fiendsmith engine works. You go Requiem effect to tribute itself and special a Fiendsmith from the deck. We're going to special summon the Lacrima, who is always treated as a Fiendsmith card. Lacrima in turn will trigger to send an Engraver to the graveyard. Hopefully you guys can see everything. And then, like I said, there's quite a bit we can do with the package. We can go Engraver, putting back the Moon of the Closed Heaven, for example, to special summon itself back from the graveyard. We could then link the Lacrima and Engraver off for a sequence effect, allowing us to fusion summon by shuffling the material back from grave. So we'll put back Engraver, put back Lacrima, put back Requiem, and that is the material needed to make a Desiree, obviously. And this is what I was saying about the Fiendsmith engine. Like, while it's really strong, its only sole purpose is in here to make Desiree. So now at this point, we can go like sequence and link the Desiree off to make Agnum Day. Then we can go Agnum Day effect to revive the Desiree from the graveyard, and then Agnum Day will equip itself to the Desiree as an equip. Then we can go sequence engrave, equipping itself to Desiree as well, making our Desiree a up to 5 card negate as a quick effect, because it negates a number of cards up to the total number of the link rating of cards equipped to it, which is really insane. He's also can't be targeted, does piercing damage, and I believe his stat line with both of these equipped sits at 5,800 attack, if I'm not mistaken. So he's just ridiculously powerful. And then what we can do here is we can then link off the Z-Zillion and the X-Cross. Obviously, the C-Crusher goes with it. Now, it really just depends. Like, if you want to trigger C to special Torque Tune, you don't have to. You could just leave it in the hand. Like I said, for discard fodder for your ABC. But what you're going to do here is you're going to link off to make Silhouette Rabbit. And then Silhouette Rabbit will trigger to set the Angel Statue Azaroon. So we'll set the Azaroon here. And then if you look, we have pretty much all the letters necessary to go ahead and summon out not only the ABC Dragon Buster, but the XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon as well. Because we have X, we have Z, we have Y, and then we have A, we have B, and we have C. So we're going to go ahead and banish all of those from our graveyard to summon our appropriate boss monsters respectively to our side of the field. And this is pretty much the 1-card Union Hangar combo, and this is what it gets you. Like I said, there was, with a bit of deviation from that line, we also could have looped into like a Therion package. It's just a matter of preference though. You know, at least with this particular setup, the ABC Buster is still able to tag himself out and float into the any banished piece, which is cool because you still have the available monster zones. The problem with making the Therion is that you run out of zones because you'll have another monster here. Granted, the Regulus does send itself off the board for cost, so it opens up a zone, but you know, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. It just depends on what your opponent's throwing at you. You might not have the available spaces to tag the Buster out. But this is just to give you more or less an idea of what the 1-card Hangar combo can produce. Like I said, you have an Omni through Desiree, you have 2 Disrupts, one from XYZ Hyper Cannon and one from the Dragon Buster. You also have a free card to pitch for either one of them. And then you also have the Azaroon's play set up with the Silhouette Rabbit pop as well. So this represents quite a bit of disruption for a single card line, in my honest opinion, with like really crazy follow-up as well. So that is the 1-card Union Hangar combo. Now we're going to kind of revert all this back, and we are going to showcase the 1-card X-Cross Cannon line, which is obviously also very powerful. So what do you do when you have a single X-Cross? Now, X-Cross, in my opinion, one thing I'm always going to recommend doing is if you open X-Cross with any other letter, well, I shouldn't say any letter. Let me be more specific. If you open X-Cross with either C, A, or B specifically, I would always suggest that you normal summon one of these letters first before normal summoning your X-Cross cannon. The reasoning behind this is because if you just normal summon X-Cross by itself, activate the effect, and your opponent has a hand trap to stop this, whether that be Imperm or Veiler, because those would be the only 2 cards that could stop it. Off the top of my head, you're kind of just dead in the water, because you're gonna have these guys in the hand potentially, and none of them are extenders, right? Like you don't have any way to put another body on board. I mean, unless you opened unauthorized reactivation, but that's again a different combo. So what happens is you're kind of just like stuck, right? If all you did was normal summon X Cross and it gets hand trapped, what you want to do is, if you opened X Cross with any letter, obviously the best one being B, of course, you can normal summon the letter first, then use X Cross's effect to special itself before committing to his effect. That way, if he does get hand trapped, at the very bare minimum, you still have 2 bodies to make a link play into, like a Silo Hat or something, or even a Platinum Gadget. But the Platinum Gadget line is really only viable if you opened with B, because B could search you for Yearhead, or unless you opened Yearhead in that case. In either of those cases, then I would recommend making the Platinum Gadget, but like if you just normal summoning X Cross by itself, obviously is fine, but you only do that if you absolutely have to. You would much rather commit the normal summon to any other letter first, and then use X Cross's effect to special himself. That way, if he does get hit with a hand trap, you're able to still extend into your combo because it doesn't hurt as much. So just food for thought. Like I said, these videos are mainly here to teach you duelists how to just become better pilots at these decks. So, any information I can give is always going to be beneficial to you. So, normal summon X Cross Cannon. Activate the effect, of course, to equip. Now, assuming we didn't open anything else, this is just a 1-card line. X Cross is always going to want to equip the B Buster, because B Buster is just the best letter, of course. We'll use the B Buster effect to unequip itself and special. And then now we can link summon using both B and X to make the Platinum Gadget, of course. That will trigger the B Buster in Graveyard, searching you for Y Dragon Yearhead. Or Y Yearhead. Y Dragon Head was the original one, but obviously we're no longer playing that. Y Yearhead is the new retrain. So once you add this to hand, you can go Platinum Gadget effect to special, and then Yearhead effect to re-equip the B from grave. Now remember what I said, you do not want to unequip B in special, because it's better to leave it equipped. That way when you contact fuse the Platinum Gadget and the Yearhead, the B will actually go back to grave when you make the Union Controller, and that'll trigger B's effect to grab you the Z Zillion tank. Because what'll happen is if you special the B before making Controller, you'll make Controller. Controller will obviously get you a search, right? Which in this case, you'll usually just be going for Hangar. But now, the Buster Drake is not in the graveyard, so you don't have a way to search Z Zillion tank preemptively. Although, you could just grab it off a Hangar, but you're kind of like selling yourself short on a search, if you can understand what I'm getting at. So it's always more beneficial, in my opinion, to just leave the B equipped. Because it's not like you're going to have a shortage of bodies when you go through the combo anyway. Like, just having the additional body on the board doesn't matter most of the time. Only in very niche scenarios does it come up. But like I said, you just want to make sure you can preemptively get that Z Zillion tank search. Especially if you're worried about something like an Ash, you can use the Buster Drake to chain block the Union Controller search. Which is obviously pretty cool. So, just also something to keep in mind. But if they were holding Ash, I mean, it just depends. You can't predict what your opponent's going to do. They probably would have Ashed a Buster Drake on the first attempt. But you never know. Sometimes people play things weird. So, now we can go Hangar, and that will allow us to search an additional piece, which usually we can grab something like an A Assault Core, or even a Sea Crush Wyvern, actually. Crush Wyvern sounds like a pretty good idea. And then what we can do here is we can now go Union Controller effect to special the Zillion tank from the hand. That'll trigger not only Zillion tank's effect, but Union Hangar's effect, since the Union was specialed. So off the Z Zillion, we'll equip the Yearhead from the banishment. And then a Union Hangar will go ahead and equip the Driver. If I could find it, of course. Equip the Driver to tank as well. And actually, well, no, we can still, this still works. Then we can go driver, banishing itself, and equip the last missing letter, which is A in this case. And then what we can do here is we can go Yearhead effect to unequip and special, and then Yearhead to equip the Sea Crush from our hand to himself as a material. And now this ensures that we get all of the necessary pieces in rotation. And we can again start linking off some of these bodies. We can just use the effect of Sea Crush to special, and then just take controller plus Z Zillion and use those to make Moon. And you can kind of already see where this goes. It's very similar to the previous combo. We're just going to do the entire Fiendsmith line. So I'm going to kind of speed through it very quickly. We're going to make the Agnum Day. Obviously, we would have had Engraver and Lacrima as well. But they end up getting shuffled back anyway to make the Desiree. And so would Requiem and Moon also get shuffled back. So really, this is how the tail end of the combo should look. You'll have Agnum Day equipped to Desiree, and then you go Sequence to equip to Desiree as well, giving it the, two double forms of protection. And then at this point, we can now special summon the A Assault Core, unequipping it from the... Actually, A Assault Core would be engraved, excuse me, because it was equipped to Zillion. My apologies. But now what you can do at this juncture here is you can go Y and C to make yourself a copy of Rabbit. And then, Rabbit will be able to set the Angel statue as a rune. And then you have pretty much all the necessary pieces here in your graveyard to go ahead and banish. So you have B, A, C, and then you have X, Y, and Z. Banish all those to make your Dragon Buster and make your Hyper Dragon Cannon as well. So actually, pretty similar combo to just the one card Hangar setup. This is obviously done with the one card cross setup. But you can kind of see the gist more or less of how the deck is supposed to be played. So hopefully you duelists enjoyed both of those combos. Now, the other thing that I want to go over is something that a lot of you have asked me in the profile, is why do we play Pilot? The answer for that is quite simple. So depending on how you make your board, depending on how the turn plays out, you'll probably still have Hangar, right? Whether or not you use the Dragon Buster effect to tag out and re-summon, and also speaking of that, the cards you're usually going to want to be summoning off of that effect, assuming you go Buster to tag, is you're going to grab the Zillion Tank, you were going to grab the A Assault Core, and you'll grab the B Buster Drake as well. These are the three cards you usually want to be grabbing. And the reason for this is because assuming Buster Dragon tags out, you special these from Banished. And what's going to happen is you'll trigger the Zillion and you'll trigger Hangar. So Zillion's going to re-equip the Yearhead to himself. And then Hangar will basically get you access into another... you'll go for like Crush Wyvern or something. Right? And this is assuming the Buster tags out. You just get everything back in rotation. You're able to make another Buster Dragon next turn and just get so much follow-up. And this is where the Union Pilot comes into play, is specifically for that follow-up. So on subsequent turns, what'll happen is if you have any letter that you can summon, whether it's unequipping it and summoning it or normal summoning from hand or whatever, it'll trigger the Hangar. You'll equip the Union Pilot from the deck, and then what you'll do is you'll go Pilot effect to take a banished Union, equip it to the card Pilot was equipped to, returning Pilot to hand, and then it'll special summon himself from the hand. I know Hangar has a restriction that states, you're not able to summon the monster that you equipped with its effect, but that's only treated if the monster hasn't changed locations. This is why Pilot has the effect to bounce itself to hand first, because it's no longer the same. Once it goes back to your hand, it's no longer the same card that Hangar placed on field. Which is why this is like how you bypass that restriction. So you special pilot with its effect by equipping the banished driver to your whatever piece you summoned on a subsequent turn. And then now you can go driver to unequip and special. And this gives you 2 light level 5s that you can overlay to then make your Nova and then overlay into your Infinity. And this is why I play the Cyber Dragon package without playing the Galaxy Soldiers, because it's just less garnets you need to run. And also less extra deck space, because you don't have to play like the Bujinki Ahashima or the rank 4 Galaxy that searches Galaxy Soldier. You don't got to play none of that. And you don't have to play the Tellarknight Ptolemaeus, because Ptolemaeus, while good at getting you to Infinity, with how the combos performed, when you make Infinity, it only has 1 material under it. Which in my opinion just isn't good enough. Like, there's too many things in the game that can just be summoned and run over Infinity. It's much better if you can do it this way, because the Infinity comes out with more mats, just making it a stronger body on field naturally, with also more negation under it, which is why I do it this way. Like, I don't really prioritize making Infinity turn 0, because our turn 0 boards are already pushed enough usually. What I do is I'll make Infinity on the follow-up turn with the help of Pilot. And this is something that a lot of players won't see coming. In a simplified game state, an Infinity can definitely swing things hard in your favor. Especially if you still have, Desiree on board, and then enough material left over to push out another Dragon Buster. Your opponent's probably not going to live past turn 3 in situations like that. So that's going to wrap up my combo and test hand video for my ABC deck post the April 2025 ban list. Let me know down in the comments below what you duelists thought of the combos. And if you want to see more content with this deck, then also let me know as well. I have no problem, maybe even doing a live duel video if that's something you duelists want to see. Or if you also want to see even more combos. Obviously, I know the length of this video is already surpassing the 30-minute mark. And I just don't want to have the video be too long. I want to be able to retain viewership. I feel like if I post a video that's overly long for no reason, a lot of people won't watch it all the way through. So if you duelists want more combos, again, there's tons and tons of combos this deck can produce. Just let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, links in the description for the Discord. Make sure you join that. And link in the description below for the actual profile that I uploaded last week. Just note that this particular list that I'm currently playing is slightly modified. Nothing major. I just cut down on some ratios, added a Silo Hat Rabbit, and now the deck went from 50 cards to 48 cards. And it just flows a little bit better in my opinion. So that's going to wrap up the video, duelists. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. And this is Nick, hitting that end phase. Peace.